most of the time love to start businesses because the start of a business, it's like the start of a romantic relationship. It is so fun. It is so lit. Like, oh my God, the butterflies. Oh my God, I wonder what he's gonna do next. And then time goes on, you realize to sustain a relationship, it requires work. The DRC, we have been conditioned that starting a business, you want to make money very quickly because politicians on TV are making money very quickly by stealing, and it's so risky. I just need to come in and out, make my money, I'm out, boom. Like, hi guys, welcome to the Nohemie and Co podcast. So part of the reason why I started this podcast was just for me to go through all the pains, the struggles of doing business in the African continent by starting with the DRC. And so by doing that, I've gained a lot of knowledge. And so I'm sharing all this knowledge with you so you don't have to go through half of the pain that I went through by learning from me and implementing it in your future business ventures. So if you or anyone that you know, doesn't just have to be Congolese here, anybody that you know will be interested in this kind of content, please be sure to subscribe and share some of this content with folks so that I know you guys' needs and I'm able to serve you the best way that I can. So welcome to the Nohemie and Co podcast. Let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome to the Nohemie and Co podcast. So this is Business in Congo. I love entrepreneurship, I love business, and I'm building businesses in the DRC. And I strongly believe that businesses is the way forward in order to develop the African continent. So below there's a link where I want you to insert your name, your email, your WhatsApp number, location. No, I'm not gonna spam you. And I don't need your exact address, but ultimately it's me building a subscription list where I will be sending you inside scoop of opportunities, business insights from the DRC that's not always publicly available. And so make sure you sign up and I promise to not spam you. And as always, if you enjoy this content, these videos, and you or anyone that you know could benefit from it, let's not gatekeep, but let's share this knowledge. Please subscribe and share the content with your loved ones. Let's get started. All right, so today we're going to talk about the importance of diversification in doing business in the Congo. This one is a very important topic because what I see happening is that there's a pattern of a lot of people starting too many projects, which really is synonym for you starting things or having all these ideas, but never really executing. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm guilty of executing, but then realizing once I execute that, girl, like either no one wants this product or people do want the product. Like for example, my plantain chips, I have to put it on hold right now because I started this plantain business only to realize that buying plantains in the Kinshasa market is too expensive versus the product that you're selling in the informal sector for 500 francs, which is like what, 18 cents the bag. So I realized the next 6 to 9 months, because that's how long it takes to plant bananas, I need to plant my own bananas in my farm so that I can sell plantain chips in Kinshasa and own that production. So today we're going to really talk about the importance of diversification because once you start one thing, to mitigate risk, because Congo is such a risky market, it is important for you to have different sources of income. However, you got to do it the right way. So I think the first point that I really wanted to make, I think with the whole idea of like projects, I think there is this tendency of having a false understanding of the local market, and it makes sense, right? Like Congo is not developed. Like literally, I always say we're like at the bottom in terms of development and infrastructure. It's not developed, and I think sometimes when there's no development, we falsely believe that there's just so much to do, so many opportunities, there's just a lot to do, which is true, but even if there is a lot to do, when there's no, there's some opportunities in all reality, even if you think that's what the country needs, if the country does not have the infrastructure, if the country does not have the mechanism in place for your idea to succeed, it's kind of lunatic, crazy for you to even bother going into that sector. And I think another big reason why many people, when they go into the Congolese market, they poorly diversify. They don't make informed decisions. So informed decision really just means your decisions are backed by data. Like, you may think that this is what the country needs, but that's not reality. Like, this is not how business works. Business is based on profit. That is the bottom line. I don't give a flying crap that you think that in Congo, the majority of people need art in order to express themselves. That's cute. I love art. Hello, I'm a content creator. That's art. But that's not what some of these people need. So this is just the bottom line. I think a lot of people start businesses in Congo, and this is not just Congolese people or diaspora. Like, I've seen some foreigners and American investor groups get frustrated, fail, because they come to Congo, implement these business ideas that are just not even needed and are just stupid, with all the respect. And then they're like, oh, Congo, I guess scam. Oh, Congo, I got screwed over. No, duh. Like, this is not what people need, right? And I think one of the biggest reasons why people in Congo, when they diversify their resources or diversify their means, they don't go into the right projects or businesses or sectors, is because we don't make enough. We don't do enough market research. There we go. We don't do enough market research, and it's hard to do market research on Congo because there's so much red tape. Red tape meaning there's so much information that's just kept hush hush because it's such a corrupted market that a lot of people don't want public to make their information public. And a lot of times in Congo, people just don't support each other. There is this tendency in Congo of the few elites at the top to keep a hold of all the main sectors in business. And in their mind, if they make that information public in terms of their data, their information, someone else will come in and start a business and get some opportunity. And then they don't want them to. Like, they feel like, I had to work hard, I had to sacrifice. Why should it be easy for you? Which to me is mind-boggling, but that's just a sad reality with the DRC.
Just checking.
I think another way in which a lot of people diversify in Congo, and speaks more to the diaspora, no shade because I am one. I think a lot of times we don't take time to do inventory of our business style. So I really believe that there's different ways of you doing a business. So what do I mean by that? Like, I'm someone who, and I've shared this before, I do better work when I'm in a calm environment because I'm naturally more high temperament. And I find that in a place like Kinshasa, I get too distracted. I take on too much. I can't seem to focus. And I think that means for me, I need to go at a more slower pace in order for me to be consistent in what I do, in order for me to be well thought out. Whereas I know some people, they don't need that. I have friends in Congo that are making millions of dollars. They thrive on that chaos. They thrive on the jungle and they're killing it. Like, you gotta be self-aware of yourself, and that's okay if this kind of environment is not for you. But for you to go into a business where you are dependent on selling goods in the informal sector of DRC, where you barely have control or an eye on what's happening in terms of cash transaction, where you're not someone that can handle that kind of environment, that's just not smart, right? So this is really important for you to be self-aware. I think a lot of people, and this I think I'm speaking more to my own kind, we love starting businesses. Actually, you know what? No, this is not just applicable to my own kind. I think this is just human nature because I see this in the US all the time with non-Africans. People most of the time love to start businesses because the start of a business, it's like the start of a romantic relationship. It is so fun. It is so lit. Like, oh my God, the butterflies. Oh my God, I wonder what he's gonna do next. And then time goes on, you realize to sustain a relationship, it requires work. And then some people, what they do, they just hop from one person to the other. People do the same in business. And I used to do that. And actually, one of my challenges this year was to be more consistent. And the reason why I think it's super important when it comes to diversification is because you cannot build the muscle for wealth and riches when you're not able to see an idea through. And being realistic, no business can lead to a quick scheme. And I think this is the issue with informal sector, high-risk sectors like the DRC. We have been conditioned that starting a business, you want to make money very quickly because politicians on TV are making money very quickly by stealing, and it's so risky. I just need to come in and out, make my money, I'm out, boom. Like, you guys, like, please comment below if you know any wealthy person who has built wealth and who has sustained their wealth for years by a get-rich-quick scheme. Name me one in the comment below. Amazon, Bezos, it's now been 30 plus years. Elon, love or hate him. This guy, SpaceX and Tesla, early 2000s. Like, it takes time. And I think when diversifying, be smart, be patient, and more importantly, be strategic. Now, we talked about diversification. We talked about its challenges. Sorry, let me drink my water. This is my honey syrup line, hint, that I'm going to be dropping very soon. But ultimately, we talked about diversification, the challenges, the things that we've done wrong when trying to get into the Congolese market. Now, let's talk about how to do it right, okay? I think one thing that I mentioned was making informed decisions. So informed decisions, really what that means is removing your own personal feelings and making decisions based on proving records. That being said, there are some opportunities that you have to be a bit more impulsive, meaning you see a good opportunity, you see an appetite in the market, you're like, let me give this a chance. But we really want to avoid making business decisions on our own feelings, making business decisions on our own assumptions. This is a big one. You gotta remove your assumptions and thinking that what you value, what you think is important is what other people want. Stop that crap. No one cares. If people are not paying for something or people don't have a pain that's so painful that they're willing to pay to get rid of that pain, just know no one cares about this business idea and it's not worth pursuing. Number two, when it comes to diversification, I think people have to learn the art of stacking. And this is something that I've been learning this year that you guys, it works wonders. I started with honey. I'm just gonna take an example of myself, right? I started with honey and I realized, okay, I can buy honey from the artisan in Bandundu, Kikwit, for example, which is great, but they are limited in how much they can produce at scale. So let me start my own honey beekeeping farm. Done. Then with this honey beekeeping farm, what I realized, it's getting a bit of traction on different levels. We have people that want to visit the farm, come for a couple of days, take beekeeping lessons. We don't know where to lodge them. I'm like, okay, let me build literally these cute little African huts where people can stay for a couple of days, pay us, and get lessons. Number two, you see how I'm stacking? I started with honey. I saw a demand. I'm like, okay, let me meet this demand and make it into another profit. But this new business idea is complementary to the first one. They go hand to hand. Then you go to the next level up. I realized when we were building our farm, we had a truck. Now that we're done building the farm, because I think I shared this before, Bandundu, or outside of places like Kinshasa, Lubumbashi, Goma, like the core cities, there's really no construction material. So you're dependent on Kinshasa, which is a 6-7 hour drive from my farm. We had a truck. Now that the construction phase of my farm is done, we don't really need the truck. But I'm like, okay, in Bandundu, I noticed there's a lot of small farmers that farm within the land and they needed to get to the main road. And on the main road, that road is actually a very good road. It goes straight to Kinshasa. I don't want to deal with the toll of the Kinshasa area because there's too many toll fees that are informal, harassment, and corruption. I'm going to stay in the Bandundu region where I see farmers needing to move their items. So that truck now does logistics within Bandundu. The roads are not the best, but we're making it work. And that is actually generating income. And it's complementary to my farm. And then you keep stacking, right? And even like the honey part, the logistics came about because we're producing honey. We need this honey to get to Kinshasa. And that's when we realized we're still gonna need the truck. Now here's the thing too, with beekeeping. Because beekeeping is starting to get a bit of traction in Bandundu, and there's not that many beekeepers commercially in the Bandundu area. There's a lot in the Kisangani area. There's quite a few in Equateur, but we're really niched in this region. Some NGOs that want to train other beekeepers to be independent beekeepers, entrepreneurs, so they can be suppliers, which is an incredible business model. They reach out to us. They're like, okay, we want to take beekeeping classes for training some of these folks to be beekeepers. That's an income. Now we're creating modules of training. And then we realize, okay, if people want to do beekeeping, they need tools. So then we have so much wood in our farm, which every time we cut a tree, we replant a tree. I'm very big on that. We take these trees, we started building beehives, because the most beekeepers in Congo, they do beekeeping traditionally and they're not able to go at scale. So now we're able to sell them beehives or beekeeping gears on command. Do you see what I'm talking about? When you're stacking either skills or either demand, you're going by starting with the baseline, proving yourself at that baseline. Based on that baseline, you then see demand. And demand is quite easy. What are people willing to pay for? Not people telling you, oh yeah, Nohemie, oh my God, beekeeping is so great, I would totally pay for that. No, I don't go by that. Like, I will give you time when you come up with the money and you're ready to pay me for it. And then you build on it. And that is the best strategy for diversification, because you're not straying from your core business. Instead, you are creating streams of income that are complementary to each other, and it allows you to be focused within one industry, right? I think the last thing to really keep in mind when it comes to diversification. So we talked about making informed data-driven decision. Now you own personal feelings. We talked about this idea of stacking demands and being a supplier of it. The last one I think is super important. I think a huge factor as to why many people want to take on too many projects, because they think that if I start this one, I'm going to be rich. Okay, I'm going to start this one agricultural project that's going to make me money. In the meantime, that person said that there's an opportunity there for event planning. Then that person, you become so spread out, you sound like a mess. And FYI, no investor that's serious ever wants to invest in someone like that, because they just think that their money is going to go to waste because this person can't even focus. So stop doing that, be more focused, and stick around long enough to prove yourself so that people have validity of what you've done in the past. With that being said, the last point I wanted to make, I really think is super, super important to talk about when it comes to diversification, especially in the context of Congo. The country has a shortage of quality labor. And this is not surprising when a country doesn't invest in its education system, right? The mass is uneducated, exploited by the elite. The problem with that you have to keep in mind, you may have 10,000 business ideas, but if you don't have the right team, the right staff, your business cannot grow nor scale. It's just the reality. A business is really dependent on the people that work in it. Think of yourself, if you've ever worked for a company, the people that make the company. It's not the idea, it's not you as a leader only, your one man, one woman show. You are dependent on human labor, especially in the context of developing countries like Congo. Keep that in mind. The reason why I say that is because it's something that I really also had to work on. I may want to do a million things, but when I struggle finding people that are quality labor, and you need to define that for yourself. You need to put the operation in place, the documentation, but you need people that get it, people that know how to follow instruction. But when you're dealing with a population where the majority are not educated, which means they lack critical thinking skills, it's very hard to diversify and have 10,000 projects when you're not able to rely on people that are trustworthy, that will deliver. Don't even get me started on the trust. It's an informal, corrupted economy. Your staff, the people you hire, it has to be based on a trust system. You cannot just post a job online and hoping that it will attract the right people. Go by trust. And I can't stress this enough. Good quality labor, there is in Congo. I mean, I live in Kinshasa most of the year. I consider myself quite qualified. But people that are good quality labor and understand things, they're more expensive. So you either put in the money to pay people well and don't scam them, or you face the reality of that rather than taking on too much, let me be focused on one or two maximum business ideas that have proven through data to be in demand, and just focus on that, diversify based on demand, but more importantly, attract quality talent that's trustworthy, that will deliver on these ideas. So thank you for tuning in to Nohemie.co, and I'll see you next time.